Hey everybody, looks like we got about 4 people in here. Hey, old curly jaws. I know you're definitely in here because I saw your chat message in there. Thank you, X-Ray. I don't know why really, but I'm even though I've got the tutoring gig, I don't have any clients yet, but I'm working on it. Um, I don't know why, but I felt extra depressed today. I guess that's just the way it's going to be till I get something, steady. Or maybe I start getting the clients with the tutoring place, and start becoming more active with that. I think when I have more things to keep my brain active, I won't get depressed. But that again is one of the that's why I decided to change Tuesday up this time. I was going to do the last episode of Mate versus Fragasso, but it seemed like this was a popular thing. Last night we had, I know it wasn't a huge amount of people, but you know, I, 10, 11, 15 people in here. That way I'm still able to keep up with the chat. I'm not saying I don't want more people to come if they wish to come, but I think those are good. Between the 10 and 15 people is a good round number. I feel like we have good discussions in here. And that was, around that number. We had 10, 11, maybe 12 people in here most of the time last night. And so, based on that, and also I got comments. 71 commented that she thought this was a good idea for a stream series. And so I thought, well, why don't I just continue it? Now, I may break it up tomorrow and do my Cheese Extreme Wednesday, um, since you guys are pretty much used to those. Um, but I did want to say we're doing the letter B tonight, and I got a whole buttload of movies to talk about. So I do know that Uncle Bill is having some kind of Facebook Live thing, some kind of rant. He's pissed about something, I guess. And I know that some of you in here may want to hop on over to that. So, um, I'll try to be as quick as I can with these and not spend oodles of time on any one certain movie so we can go through these a little more quickly, because there are a lot of them. I have such a big stack, I had to put them on the floor instead of having them on my desk like I normally do. Um, I thank you for the hugs, oh curly jaws. I appreciate that. I mean, I think a lot of you that come to the chats understand about getting depressed. I think even though they verified me as a tutor and they sent me a congratulations email and told me my supervisor's name and her phone number and all that stuff. Um, I just, I just still feel lost. Um, like it really is killing me that I don't have a more stable job after having a pretty stable job for the last 26 years. And it's just, that ability to work on a regular basis, like every day I get up, I either would go to work or, as I've been doing for the past few months, working from home. So I go back to my computer and I get things set up and I go ahead and, I help people. And now I just, and like I said, maybe when I start getting some tutoring clients, I'll feel a little bit better. But right now, I just feel so useless. I mean, like I said, I do things around the house, and I make sure that Steve's got meals and all of that stuff, and I make sure the dogs and the other animals are taken care of. But I did those things anyway. Now that I'm not don't have a separate outside the home job, some of those things are a little bit easier to do, like laundry and stuff like that. And I can get Steve's dinner when he comes home from his job ready a lot quicker instead of him having to wait for me to get off at 4:30. I can go ahead and get his meal ready whenever he gets home or just before he gets home. Um, hey, Texas. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, I feel that my job got shut down, so had to get another one. They did transfer me, but it was awful. Yeah, I mean, and I am not trying to say that that's any less demoralizing. It's just that what I was told by the bank was I was going to be terminated come November 17th if I don't come back to the office. And they've cut me off. They forced me to take leave. They they've taken away all my network access. They will not let me get. I cannot. I couldn't even do anything if I wanted to. So it's extremely demoralizing, and I feel so. I don't even feel like I'm a valuable part of this family dynamic that me and Steve have going because I just feel like I'm adding nothing to our marriage or adding nothing to help out with different things. And it just kills me. I understand that thing now when some people retire. Thank God it's not everybody that retires because my dad's retired and he's just took on a bunch of other hobbies and opened up his own antiques and collectibles business and stuff like that. So he doesn't have time to get depressed over things because he keeps himself active. But some people, when they retire, they get downright suicidal um, because they don't feel like they have any worth anymore, that they're not useful anymore. And I'm feeling that, even though I'm not retired, I'm not even to retirement age, but this is the first time I've ever had the threat of termination or firing. And really, there's nothing I can do about it. Um, I mean, I cannot, risk my health or anybody else's health by coming back to the office just because they're threatening me with termination. So I just don't know what else I can do except let it happen. That's my only other option. Uh, oh, Girly Joshie said they sound like wankers. Well, yeah, they pretty much are. But again, there's not really anything I can do about it unless I want to risk my life, other people's lives by going back into the office. Um, and I've tried 2 times to get a hold of this lawyer, this employment lawyer, and I called I called her last Wednesday when, like I said, the shit hit the fan, and she called me back, but said she would only be in the office for another 30 minutes, and then the next time she'd be in the office would be Monday. So I was like, I didn't recognize her number, so I didn't get it right away. Lord, I wish I'd had. And so I got her message stating that she would be there for the next 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, it's too close now by the time I listened to it. So I'll just call her Monday. Well, I called her yesterday and never heard a thing from her. So I don't really know how good of lawyers these people are going to be if they can't even get back in touch with you when you call them when they're supposedly supposed to be in the office. Do these people never spend any time in their office? Do they never check their messages? Do they, And so I'm aggravated over that and depressed over that. I'm depressed over currently not having a job. I mean, I've got the tutoring thing, but I don't really have any clients yet. So until I actually point blank have some clients, I'm not going to consider that a job because I'm not bringing in any money. Um, yeah, oh, Curly Josh, you said I kind of feel that was not working like a few days. It was weird. See, every day that I've gotten up in the morning since last Wednesday, when they took all my access away and stuff, I have felt weird. Something just doesn't feel right about the whole situation and these damn bugs. Guys, don't ever get fruit flies because they're almost impossible to get rid of. We've tried everything, and I mean everything, every suggestion, even people that are in the business of getting rid of pests like that have told us things to do, and we've done all those things. One place did tell me that they would need to come in and find out where these things are spawning from. And I told Steve that, but he didn't really want to go along with that of having somebody come in and try to figure out where they're spawning, get rid of them and all that, because he says we're probably going to get in one of those things where they want to come every few months and you pay them this outrageous amount to do this. So all I can say is don't get fruit flies or any other kind of pest because it's a pain. We've had them for over a year, and I don't know what spawned them. I don't know if we brought them in on some fruit from the store. I don't understand why we can't get rid of them. We've got multiple things we're trying. We've got a spray that's especially for fruit flies. We've done the apple cider vinegar and stuff and essentially drowning the things. I've got one of these catchy things that has a little fan in it and has sticky paper in it or a sticky trap, and it sucks them in there, and it's gotten a lot of them, but they just keep coming. I kind of thought, before we got the new floor, I thought maybe the carpet was causing it because the dogs had, even though I would clean it up every time one of them peed on it, um, I thought maybe it had sunk into it so much that maybe that was drawing them or spawning them. But, we got that all ripped up and got this new vinyl flooring down that's like hardwood. And we still got the problem. So I'm just at a loss. But you guys probably don't want to hear about fruit flies. You want to hear about movies. But I'll get off the poor me depression thing and get to these movies. Like I said, we're going to be covering the letter B today. Tomorrow night, I will more than likely be doing the Cheese Extreme Wednesday. So I think I'm like 2 weeks behind on the Cheese Extreme Wednesday. So you guys can look forward to that. And then I may Thursday, barring, any health issues that cause me not to be able to feel like doing it. Hopefully Thursday and Friday I can do like C and D for this new series that I'm doing. So let's go ahead and get started with the movies here. And Brandon, of course, is walking around back here again, and he'll probably end up knocking over my light, as he usually does, bless his heart. So I was hoping he would go and lay down. He needs to rest, but, he doesn't always do what he should do. So anyway, if I just, please excuse me if I do have to get up and take care of the light if it gets knocked over. But I'm going to go ahead and get started with the movies. Now, Only one of these movies, of course, is a B movie that begins with the letter B. The other one, Visiting Hours, we will cover, of course, when we get to these. But the one I want to talk about is Bad Dreams. Bad Dreams was a movie that I think I rented it. Um, it came out in what, 88. Bad Dreams is not a super long movie. It's only 80 minutes long. So it's not even 90 minutes long. So let me give you a little background on Bad Dreams, a little plot synopsis for those of you that maybe haven't heard of it. So supposedly within this movie in the mid 70s, there were members of a love cult called Unity Fields. And I'll tell you this, you've never seen Bad Dreams? Oh, Curly Jaws. Okay, I think you might like this one. I could be wrong, but I think you might enjoy it. So this cult, that this Unity Fields cult, it sort of seemed like they were trying to design it like the Manson cult. So this cult, Unity Fields, sought the ultimate joining. And how? By dousing themselves with gasoline and committing mass suicide. Now, that is unlike the Manson cult, because the Manson cult never, they committed murder, but they never committed any kind of mass suicide of the members. That was more like some of the other cults, Jim Jones, maybe David Koresh, those types of cults. A young girl blown clear of the fiery explosion was the only survivor. So then the movie moves forward 13 years, and Cynthia, played by Jennifer Rubin, awakens from a coma inside a psychiatric hospital with only buried memories of that horrific day. But now her fellow patients are each being driven to their own violent suicides. As the sex leader, Richard Lynch, and Richard Lynch is great in this, ultimately creepy in this, returned to claim his final child. Bruce Abbott from Reanimator co-stars in this intense shocker from director Andrew Fleming, who also did The Craft, and producer Gail Ann Hurd, The Terminator and The Walking Dead. So, I always thought that this movie was very, very creepy from those opening scenes of Richard Lynch as Harris, the cult leader, and the systematic way that this character just, I mean, it's not gasoline, obviously, but the way it's presented, I mean, it's a gas can and all of that. And the spooky way that the members of this cult just go up to Harris and let him pour gasoline on them. Then they go and sit back down, and then he just like splashes the gas on him and just kind of rubs it on. And it is so creepy. And this is me saying this, who's watched a lot of horror movies. And then he lights a match and just people go up in flames. And you see some of this a little bit later when Cynthia's having flashbacks. When the movie first comes on and you see the outside of the house, and then you go inside and it looks like a bunch of hippies, pretty much. And there's some kind of hippie-ish music playing in the background and all of that. And there's one guy that seems really nice that tells Cynthia, the young Cynthia character, who's not played by Jennifer Rubin, that it's okay if she doesn't want to do this, if she doesn't want gasoline poured over her and do the ultimate joy, she doesn't have to. And he's like, does she, Harris? And he says, no, she does have to do this. But fortunately for her, she ends up like it says in the description for the movie, she ends up getting blown clear um, of the major explosion. The other people basically burn up, including Harris. But there are also flashbacks and things that show a news reporter talking to Harris and talking to members of the cult. And it's kind of like it flipped on its head, because the people in this flashback with the news reporter don't look anything like the people that were in the house at the beginning. These look more and act more like the Manson girls did, or members of Manson's cult. For instance, they say things like, Harris would die for you, brother. He put his hand over a flame. He burns for your sins. Um, and Harris loves you, brother. And it's so, and it shows some of the girls in the cult laughing, and very, very much Manson like atmosphere, in my opinion. But not only that, but when Cynthia, played by Jennifer Rubin, wakes up after this 13-year coma in the psychiatric hospital, and she has to, of course, go to these group sessions with other people with the various other problems. Dean Cameron is one of the patients who, unfortunately, likes to not cut himself, but like poke himself with sharp implements. He tells Cynthia one time, he said, when things get too much, I just make a little hole. And he raises up his shirt, and he's got all these little pinholes in him. And you have a couple that seems to be having some kind of odd marital problems. But they're all supposed to have like a borderline personality disorder. And I don't know enough about all these psychiatric conditions to really describe what that is for you. So just have to take, I guess, what they say in this movie with a pinch of salt, and just kind of go with it and consider a lot of it horror movie logic. I'm not saying there aren't borderline personalities, that that's not a real thing. I'm just saying I don't know if the way it was presented in this movie is 100% kosher. So that part of it you would have to take as horror movie logic. And oh, Curly Jaws, you say, sounds very interesting. Definitely want to check it out. Yeah, I do think you would like it. Oh, Curly Jaws. So then the movie kicks into high gear when it appears that some of the other members of Cynthia's group are committing suicide, and she keeps seeing Harris, and Harris is horribly burned. And he keeps telling her, if you don't come with us and join the cult as you should have 13 years ago, then I'm going to take another one of these people from your group. So I don't want to give away the really big shock ending to this. So I'm not going to tell you what all the twists and turns it takes along the way, but it does take at least a couple of twists and turns along the way, where things are not what they seem. You think the movie's going in one direction, and it does a complete 360 and does something else. But a very well made movie. I think that Andrew Fleming did an awesome job with this. Um, the only thing I was ever a little bit perturbed about, and it was not in regards to the movie, is I think Guns N' Roses, who Sweet Child of Mine is a song that is used on the end credits. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Guns N' Roses wanted to use scenes from Bad Dreams in a video for Sweet Child of Mine. But unfortunately, one of the girls that was with one of the guys in the band said that Sweet Child of Mine was written about her, and she didn't want scenes from a horror movie in a video of a song that was written for her. And I'm like, that's silly. So that was the only thing that ever perturbed me that was within that movie. So I I think I actually made my own video where I had Sweet Child of Mine and playing in the background and scenes from this movie. I didn't have Guns N' Roses or anything on it. It was just literally scenes from the movie with Sweet Child of Mine playing in the background. Um, and I think I might have had it on my old YouTube channel, but I don't even have access to that channel now. I have forgotten the password and don't know how to get into it. So, anyway, I'll talk a little bit about the special features before we move on to the next one. So, the special features for Bad Dreams, you get a commentary with writer and director Andrew Fleming, interviews with actors Jennifer Rubin, Bruce Abbott, and Dean Cameron, the special effects of Bad Dreams, behind the scenes of Bad Dreams, the original ending, and a theatrical trailer. And that's Bad Dreams. If you've never seen this movie, and we've only got 3 people in here right now, so I must have drove everybody away by talking about being depressed and stuff. um, so, Bad Dreams, highly recommend it. If you've never seen it, try to find a copy of it. It may be on Tubi or YouTube or one of those places. Again, don't plunk down your hard-earned money and say, "Oh, I'm just going to run out and get this because Dana said it was great." Well, yeah, I do think it's great, but I would rather you watch it in a free version first, and then decide if it's something that you'd want to purchase. And I do apologize. This is a Screen Factory double feature Blu-ray, but at the time that was the only way I could get these 2 movies on Blu-ray, so I succumbed to it. So anyway, how girly Josh, you want to know is it as good as the Evil Dead remake? Um, it's 150. No, it's 500% better, in my opinion, than the Evil Dead remake. Oh, girly Josh, if you want my honest opinion there. so, so moving on is a pretty much, I believe this one was a made for TV movie. Curly Jaws, you say Scream Factory has mentioned my new video. It's a plot in the film idea. Yeah, that was very amusing. Oh, Curly Jaws. I hope you got my message about that. That said I loved it. It was very funny and an interesting pitch. I mean, I'm being serious about that. I mean, I could imagine that being made into a movie. So anyway, back to the second movie. That is Bad Ronald with one of the Jacobys, as you can tell there. It's actually Scott Jacoby. And also, Kim Hunter is in this as Ronald's mother. John Larch is on here, Dabney Coleman, and it's directed by a guy that I am not familiar with the name, Buzz Kulik. So although this was primarily, I believe, a made-for-TV movie, it still is very creepy and very effective. And I will give you a little bit of a plot synopsis for Bad Ronald. So, how bad is Ronald? The Wood family finds out when they move into a house with an extra that the realtor didn't know about, teenage Ronald, who's been hiding in a secret room ever since he killed a neighbor girl. Ronald was a little weird when he entered the room. Now he's creepy, scary, crazy. And he finds the three pretty wood daughters very, very interesting. A fine cast includes Scott Jacoby, who was in The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, Kim Hunter from Planet of the Apes, and Dabney Coleman from Tootsie, maintains a nerve-tightening atmosphere of suspense as Ronald begins terrorizing the unsuspecting family. And they do simply express that this is a great horror flick. This is the one of the Warner Archive Collection Blu-rays, which I'll be honest, they're not the best quality, but they are made to order. And with some of these movies, it's the only way that you can get them, or currently can get them. I mean, I'm not saying that's always going to be the case. Oh, excuse me. But right now it is things like Killer Party, which Killer Party, no, I guess that was still, I think it's still part of the Warner Archive Collection. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Also, there was a movie about PCP called Angel Dusted. And Steve thinks I'm crazy for even buying that. I bought that on DVD because I hadn't seen it in years and I wanted to be able to see it. It was supposed to be based on a true case of a boy in college who had smoked a joint laced with PCP, with angel dust. And it wasn't like, I thought when I saw it years ago when I was a kid that he did not know that it had PCP in it. But it turns out he did know that it had PCP in it. He had evidently smoked it before. But this time he had a really bad effect from it, and ended up in and out of mental health facilities for a long time. There's also a book called Angel Dusted that this boy's mother wrote, talking about how the family had to deal with this. I mean, I guess they had to deal with it for years, or at least a year. So, anyway, but we're not talking about Angel Dusted, but that is a movie I would recommend if you don't mind watching those drug scare films. Oh, Curly Georgie said, heard Bad Ronald talked about by a cool dude originally. That's how I know about the film. I remember hearing about the crawl space. Texas, you said they never did the sequel, Sad Donald. That would be interesting. So, yeah, the basic story is that Bad Ronald, or Ronald, is this kind of weird kid that everybody in town makes fun of. Nobody wants to have anything to do with him, and he shows up at one of the neighborhood kids' pool and kind of wants to swim with them in the pool. But these are the rich kids, and they just think he's a weirdo, and they're like, "Go away, Ronald," And then I'm guessing the sister of one of the kids at the pool party or at the pool um starts, really ragging on Ronald, and says, progressively worse and worse things to him until he just snaps and pushes her, and she hits her head on a rock or stone or something. Um, and then he gets scared because she's dead, and he runs home to his mother. He tells his mother, and that's when she builds that interior room and kind of walls him up in there. But only she knows he's there. So then his mother gets sick and has to go in for surgery. And while she's there for surgery, she dies. So she never comes home. So the house sits vacant for a little while, and then a new family moves in. That's when things get really, really creepy because Ronald's able to see these young girls in this new family that's moved into the house, and he gets a fixation on at least one of the girls. And then things go completely sideways when his obsession turns takes a dangerous turn, as most obsession cases would take a dangerous turn. Um, but I do think this movie is very well made. Like I said, this is the Warner Archive collection, so we don't expect it to look really, really good, but it looks decent. Um, and I think it's well acted. Um, I think the new girls that move into Ronald's house are kind of ditzy at some points in time. But I think Scott Jacoby's great as Ronald. I think Kim Hunter is exceptional playing his mom. Most of the people in this, I think, are very good actors, very well accomplished actors. I just think the girls, the sisters, act a little ditzy. But maybe that was the thing. Maybe that's what they wanted to do with it. I'm not really sure. Um, Kindertrauma.com actually said creepy, voyeuristic, and endlessly entertaining. A must see. And I would have to agree with that. And so if you've never seen Bad Ronald, seek this one out. I'm not saying buy it from the Warner Archive collection because their stuff is a little bit more expensive than it really has any right to be. Being as these are made to order, these discs are not pressed until somebody orders them. It's not like they got several professional discs sitting around. Um, I mean, you can tell maybe that these are not really professional discs. They look like the stuff that you guys would buy, whether you're buying Blu-ray blank Blu-rays or blank DVDs. You would definitely see a difference between these and the more professional ones. I mean, they try to make it look professional, but there's really, well, at least they didn't give us the eco cases, but um, they're not 100% top of the line. I will say that. So this is another one, as I say with all of these, to that you might want to watch in a for free version, Tubi, YouTube, whatever. Check and see if somebody has got a version out there. Before you actually, especially with Warner Archive Collection, plunk down that hard earned money, that hard earned cash to get something like this. But with all that being said, again, I will say this is a very well made movie, well acted movie for the most part, and very, very creepy in a lot of spots in this movie. So I really enjoy it. I remembered it back in my well, it was probably video rental days, but I don't ever remember being able to rent this. I think it probably was on things like TBS and stuff like that back in the day. And that's probably how I caught it, at one time or another. Um, Curly Jaws, you say if they made a remake of Bad Ronald, who would you get to play Ronald in the remake? Ah, I honestly don't know, old Curly Jaws. I mean, Scott Jacoby did such a good job with that, but of course he would be too old to play that character now. Um, so I really don't know. I'm trying to think of some 14, 15-year-old actors or ones that look that age. I mean, maybe, and you're probably gonna want to scream, but maybe somebody from Stranger Things or something. Um, even though this took place in the 70s, um, I think that maybe the look, that 80s look, would be okay to carry over into um, something that's supposed to be like 70s, or they could update it. They could say it's the 80s instead of the 70s. Um, but I'm just saying that the look that those kids have, I think would fit in with a Bad Ronald remake. But honestly, I don't think at this point in time that anybody would want to make a remake of Bad Ronald. I could be wrong. Um, but that remains to be seen. Somebody might, say they want to do it. X-Ray, you say, I used to see cheapo $1 copies of Bad Ronald at 99-cent discount stores back in the early 2000s. Did a big mistake not picking it up? Or did I make a big mistake not picking it up? Well, I'm not going to say, X-Ray, that you made a big mistake, but if you're, that's almost too good of a price to pass up, Um, but again, just because I'm on here talking about these things and singing their praises pretty much, doesn't mean that everybody is going to love these films. But almost at 99 cents, that's not really going to be hurting your wallet too much, is it? So I'm not going to say you made a big mistake. I'm just saying that it might be one of those things that any one of us could do. Heck, I've done that. I've seen things be real cheap, and I'm like, I'm not going to get it now. And then before you know it, boom, they've disappeared. So, I feel what you're feeling about this. Oh, did I make a mistake? But I'm not going to tell anybody they made a big mistake. It's just that is a really, really good price. $1, as you say, or 99 cents or something like that. Um, I mean, who knows? We might, even in the age of the pandemic, old copies of this might turn up for $1 or 50 cents or something. I mean, I'm not going to say that you still can't find them, because you might be able to. Oh, Carly Jaws, you say, yeah, because those go for like hundreds of dollars now. X-Ray, you say, I got a stack of those $1 DVDs, mostly Kung Fu flicks. Yeah. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say Bad Ronald 2 in space. Oh my God. Oh, that's an image. Curly Jaws, you say Steve is Bad Ronald with a wig. X-Ray, you say we need a gender fluid Bad Ronald for today's generation to relate. Probably so. Either that or a gay or bisexual or something. Transgender, gender fluid. Yeah, it would probably have to be changed quite a bit. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say Evan Peters as Bad Ronald, directed by Ronnie Yu, written by Quentin Tarantino. Is that going to be your next video that you talk about? Oh, Curly Jaws, I think that would be blast. Another thing about these Warner Archive Collection movies is that they generally don't have any special features, as you can see there. But I don't know. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I bought it because I enjoy this movie. But again, I would say if you've never seen it and you want to see it, try to watch it in a for free version first before you go searching it out from Warner Archive or any of the other outlets. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say might be laughing my ass off. I need to watch the movie first. Okay, so moving right along, and I apologize because some of these in the letter B, I talked about during my Mad as Hell stream. So I may not talk as in depth about them as I would have if I hadn't talked about them recently. So one of those is Basket Case. And like I said in the other stream, this is an Arrow release of it. I do have a Blu-ray that was signed by Frank Henenlotter, who I met a few years back at Cinema Wasteland, I believe. One of the last times maybe the last time me and Steve went to a Cinema Wasteland convention. Um, and so I bought the Blu-ray from his table, and he, of course, signed it for free because I bought the Blu-ray. So you don't catch too many people doing that now. Some might, but like when I met Ian McCullough, I paid a certain amount for the zombie mini poster that I wanted signed, and then I didn't have to pay any extra for essentially for his autograph and the picture. Guys, I'm going to step away for just 1 second. I will say, with this extra depression, I haven't wanted to eat as much. And so, even though I know it's wrong of me to do so, I haven't had lunch in 2 days. And I know you're probably saying, God dang it, you're diabetic. You got to eat your meals. But I just haven't felt like it. And I don't know. So now, of course, I'm getting a headache and my blood sugar's feeling low. So I had to go grab me some candy. Hey, 71. 71, you say it is what it is, just don't end up messing your sugar. Yes. And you know, I've been diabetic since I think I was diagnosed when I was 19. I'm 46 now. So, dummy me should know how to take care of myself by now. But I understand what you're saying, 71. I should just kind of throw all that other stuff out the window and make sure I take care of myself. Oh, Curly Georgie said, don't make me call Diamond Dallas Page to come over and hit you with a diamond cutter. Eat your food. Yes, guys, I do know. Thank you for, looking out for me. Even getting on me a little bit, because sometimes I think I need that. A brain fog don't help. No, it does not. It certainly does not. So anyway, back to Basket Case. If you don't know what Basket Case is about, I'm going to give you a little bit of a plot synopsis. Dwayne Bradley seems like a pretty ordinary guy. His formerly conjoined twin, Belial, on the other hand, is a deformed creature who lives in a wicker basket, literally. Arriving in the Big Apple and taking up a room at a seedy hotel, the pair set about hunting down and butchering the surgeons responsible for their separation. Filmed on a shoestring budget against the backdrop of 1980s New York, where it played on the midnight movie circuit for over 2.5 years, Basket Case has clawed its way from its humble origins to become one of the most celebrated cult movies of all time. And despite the grittiness and the goriness and all of that, this is really a fun movie. Now, it literally was made on a shoestring. So it's not really going to have all the bells and whistles that some movies will have. I also got Steve picked these up when we were at the grocery. They're tortilla chips with a hint of guacamole, and they are really, really good. Um, I think we're going to have to get some more of these. Um, 71, you say, I'm glad I never had a conjoined twin. A thing would be killing everyone. Yeah, I would hate to see if I had a conjoined twin, what would happen. They are good. You talking about these tortilla chips? Yes, they are very, very good. Actually, we have some salsa, a jar of salsa. I love queso even better than I do salsa, but Steve always wants to get salsa. So, but I was feeling pretty hungry, so I just grabbed the chips. Um, I'll try not to talk too much with my mouth full, but I hope you guys will forgive me if I do a little bit of munching as I talk about some of these movies. Um, so um, it is a fun movie and a very entertaining movie, very humorous at sometimes. And you're probably thinking, gee, Dana, it's something called Basket Case about this demented conjoined twin that's tearing people apart and all that stuff. How can you say it's humorous? Well, that's because you got Frank Henenlotter at the directing helm. Frank Henenlotter is a master when it comes to mixing the gory aspects, the horrific aspects, and those humorous aspects. And he knows how to mix them and match them and make them really work. At least for the horror crowd, anyway. You're the regular movie watching crowd is not going to find, or is probably not going to find Basket Case to be entertaining in any way, shape, or form. I remember, and I probably told this one of the last times I talked about Basket Case, but I remember showing my parents Basket Case for the first time, and my mom liked it okay. I mean, and they both stayed with it for the duration. But I remember my dad saying when the movie was over, he looked over at me and he said, Dana, that is the stupidest movie I've ever seen in my life. And I just had to laugh because dad was serious as a heart attack when he was saying this. But just the look on his face, I wish you guys had been able to see the look on his face. Um, so, um, I find this movie, excuse, that gone. These things are a little bit spicy, so. Hey, Menelect. Um, but what was I saying? There goes that brain fog again. But probably a non-horror loving crowd of movie watchers is not going to find this as entertaining as us in here. Um, and some members of the horror community might not find this entertaining, but God, I don't understand why they wouldn't find it entertaining. I think Kevin Van Hentrich is great as Dwayne. I think even some of the lesser known people, like the receptionist at one of the doctor's offices that Dwayne ends up dating, the one who I call Wig Woman, because she's got an obvious bad wig. We talked about bad wigs when I did the Halloween 2 watch along, but this is a really super bad wig. If you don't believe me, watch this movie if you haven't seen it. And the reason why she had such a bad wig was this girl was a member of a punk rock band and she had shaved her head completely. So, can you imagine if, like, even in this weird ass film, if Frank Henenlotter had her bald and be working as a receptionist in the doctor's office, and I just don't think it would have made for a very believable thing unless Dwayne was bald too, um, and I just don't think it would have worked as well. Um, but because I've talked about Basket Case on another recent stream, I'm not going to go into extremely gory details about it. Other than to say, I think that this is a really fun horror movie. It's a gory horror movie. So if you like entertaining, gory horror films and you've never seen Basket Case, then I would highly recommend it. And if you've never seen a Frank Henenlotter movie ever, this will be one hell of a great introduction to Frank Henenlotter for you. So that's Basket Case. There are a ton of special features on this. I'm going to talk about a few of them. I'm not going to read every single one of these off. Yes, 71. I did cover it pretty good the other night, which is why I'm not going into extreme detail on it. But you do get a brand new 4K restoration from the original 16 millimeter negative. Let's see. You get brand new audio commentary from writer director Frank Henenlotter and Kevin Van Hentrick. There's also an archival audio commentary with Frank Henenlotter, producer Edgar Levins, actress Beverly Bonner, and filmmaker Scooter McRae. Basket Case 3.5, an interview with Dwayne Bradley, which is very interesting and entertaining. A brand new short film by Frank Henenlotter. Me and the Bradley Boys, a brand new interview with actor Kevin Van Hentrick. A brief interview with director Frank Henenlotter. A strange 2017 interview with the director. Seeing Double, the Basket Case Twins, a brand new interview with actresses Florence and Mary Ellen Schultz. And Blood Basket and Beyond, a brand new interview with actress Beverly Bonner. Plus, there's a ton of other stuff, but I'm not going to continue to read all these off and bore you guys. But that is Basket Case. Highly, highly recommend it. If you've never seen it, try to search out a free version to watch. And then if you decide that you really, really like it, then you might want to purchase it. I would highly recommend the Arrow release if you do want to purchase it. And that is Basket Case. And we're going to move on here in just a second with the next one. I'm going to take a couple more bites of chips here. Now we have 7 people in here, so that's pretty good. And guys, trust me, if I go past 10 o'clock with these, and some of you want to go over to the Facebook Live thing with Uncle Bill, it totally will not hurt my feelings, because this will be on YouTube if you want to watch it later. But the next film I'm going to talk about is actually going to be a Mario Bava film. And that is Bay of Blood. And this is an Arrow release. I've always loved Bay of Blood. This was one that the first time I saw it, I like, especially when it got to the ending, because it has such an off-the-wall ending, I guess from an American standpoint. But this is a Mario Bava film, so it's definitely not American. So when you watch Spanish and Italian and all other kinds of horror films, you come to realize that they have, different ways of making films. It's not the same as American films. So they came to play, they stayed to die. See the film that set the slasher movie blueprint. Can you handle the terror of Mario Bava's Giallo classic, A Bay of Blood? This is also known as Twitch of the Death Nerve. This has also been known as the inspiration to several killings in Friday the 13th Part 2. Some people would even go as far as to say that Friday the 13th Part 2 ripped this movie off. I don't think I'd go that far, but I do see similarities in some of the more gruesome kills in this and Friday the 13th Part 2. So, when a rich countess is murdered, it's a race to see who will inherit her estate. And you can bet that the body count is going to rise rapidly in the process as the plot twists spin wildly out of control. So, basically, all of the killings in this movie are related to this bay that everybody wants. And they're willing to kill somebody to prevent them from getting this land. And I'm like, I had to wonder about halfway through the movie, and it's a very good movie. Very good movie, in my opinion. Lots of gory kills and all that. But I had to wonder, why in the world would somebody want this stinky, stanky bay? I mean, it doesn't look like anything that I would want. But there must have been some reason why these people wanted it. I think one of the people actually wanted to put a hotel on it. Why it would be a good area for a hotel, I don't know. It would definitely need some cleaning up. TJ, you said rip off. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, I have an idea for a future series after you get done with the ABCs of horror. How about for every year you've been alive, from the year you were born till now, talking about horror films from the years up? Well, that'd be interesting, oh, Curly Jaws. That would be from 1976 till now. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I agree with 71. That's a great idea. I'm definitely going to put that in my wheelhouse. So the pile of bloody corpses is going to get higher and higher as one by one the mangled victims are hung, speared, stabbed, and macheted. 13 horrific murders turn the screen crimson with blood. 13 corpses float in the bay of blood. So I don't know. This really, honestly, doesn't seem like a Mario Bava film. If you've seen some of Mario Bava's other films, it definitely does not seem like the same type of stuff that he would do. So it has been said that I believe people had said that his son probably directed a lot of it, especially the gorier sequences. So, but it's a really good film. I guess you could maybe call it a giallo, or in that vein of a giallo. And there are some really cool deaths in this. The skewering of the couple that's having sex, which is one of the scenes that it has been said that Friday the 13th Part 2 ripped off when the couple has just finished having sex and Jason comes in with that spear and they, you know, the Bay of Blood obviously did that first. There's a scene like that. Um, and there are a few other scenes that are similar to Friday the 13th esque kills. And I always like the one kill where the girl gets in this. I don't know why in the world she gets in the pool because it looks scummy looking, or not pool, I guess, but lake or whatever. And she gets attacked by. This is another movie that has multiple killers in it. She gets attacked by one of the killers, and she's running around naked. But guys, I will tell you, and I'm not making fun of her because she's a little bit heavier. I'm just saying, beware. This is not a skinny mini, tight ass girl running around naked. This is a girl with a little more meat on her. Um, and I'm not saying she's unattractive or anything. I'm just saying be aware that this is not the American version of a naked chick running around before she gets offed. Okay. Um, this girl's a little more meatier and she's running around and she's nude. And then she gets, with this giant scythe, across her throat. And I always thought that that was a really fantastic kill in a movie. Hey, Red. Red, you say, just found out AMC has a ton of horror films available on demand this month. Too bad I don't have blank tapes. Yeah. 71. I was kind of wondering that too. You say, Red, do they even sell them anymore? She's chunky, lol. Well, I'm trying to be nice because I'm not exactly the skinniest person either. So I don't have room to talk. But if you've never seen Bay of Blood and you like these gory, Jallo-esque type of films, I think you will really enjoy this. I don't like to watch this movie, like watch it and then wait a week and watch it again. I like to kind of watch it, savor it a little bit, and then wait a few months before I watch it again. Actually, I think it's probably about time I try to watch it again, because it's been a little while. Same when you say, yeah, neither am I, but I'm not always nice. Red, you say, I doubt it, but I still have a VCR and a DVD VCR combo. Yeah, I was thinking I had one somewhere too, one of the combos. Curly Georgie say, have you seen the movie Video Underground? I just saw that they're going to do a special edition of it. It looks interesting. I don't believe I have. Oh, Curly Jaws. If you watch it, you'll have to let me know if it's any good or not. So, again, I'm not going to keep going on and on about all these movies because we do have one heck of a stack to go through. And it is after 9, and I know that there's going to be some of you that want to go over to Uncle Bill's thing. I get that. I understand it. So I'm going to talk about the special features real quick before we move on to the next one. So there's an alternate Italian cut of the film. There's audio commentary by Tim Lucas. And speaking of Tim Lucas, bless his heart, I don't know him like personally. He's been at events that I've been at, um, but his wife passed away suddenly. Steve told me about that today. So, kind of, if you know who Tim Lucas is, kind of keep him in your thoughts and prayers as he goes through this difficult time. But there is audio commentary with Tim Lucas, author of Mario Bava, All the Colors of the Dark, Argento, Bava, Fulci, The Giallo Gems of Dardano Sacchetti, Joe Dante on Mario Bava, Shooting a Spaghetti Splatter Classic, cameraman Gianna Lorenzo Battaglia on A Bay of Blood trailers, Carnage and Twitch of the Death Nerve with commentary by Edgar Wright, Twitch of the Death Nerve radio spots, and Reversible Sleep with original and newly commissioned artwork by Rick Melton. And by the way, Rick Melton, if you haven't heard of that guy, he does exceptional artwork. And I would recommend, I think he's still doing artwork. I would recommend looking Rick Melton up and seeing what he has. So Angela Lansbury passed away too, TJ? Wow. Loretta Lynn passed away recently too. She was in her 90s. Curly Dodgy said, I think my next video I'm going to do let's see, 71, you said, wow, Angela Lansbury, she was up there. 96. Okay, so moving right along is another movie, and then there's going to be another movie after this that both of these I've covered in the Mad as Hell stream. So we're going to go through those pretty quickly. One is The Beast Within, about the 17 or the 18-year-old Michael McCleary who's changing into a giant cicada. What can I say that I haven't already said about it? Great movie, great special effects, fantastic transformation scene at the end. And it has Ronnie Cox, B.B. Besh, Paul Clemens, and R.G. Armstrong in it. Mad as Hell stream, love that, LOL. Yeah, that was even though I was feeling kind of grumpy that day, that was a really fun stream, and I enjoyed doing that stream and having all you guys in there with me. Curly Dodgy said the next video I do is going to be Lucio Fulci's Friday the 13th. Jason's going to be Italian. Oh man, I need to watch that. Let's see. So again, that's Beast Within. This one was really quick because I don't want to retread too much over what I've already covered with it. So Beast Within, highly recommend. The next one was one I also covered in the Mad as Hell stream, and that was Berserker, about the Viking warrior who's pretty much his ghost comes back and he tears these people apart that are on his sacred land, and he doesn't want them there. Very bloody film, enjoyable film, does have Buck Flower in it. And I would highly recommend it. But again, because I feel like I just covered it, I'm not going to go into great details with Berserker, other than to say, if you have not seen it and you can watch it in a for free version, then I would highly recommend checking this one out. Okay, so the next one I don't think I have covered for a while, and this is a Lucio Fulci film, and it is The Beyond. And this is the cool arrow packaging that they had several years ago for several of the Blu-ray releases that came out. And well, there were some DVD releases that were packaged this way too. But I wish they had continued to do that, but for whatever reason, they stopped doing it. But this was basically the case, and then you have the disc itself, and you had a poster and a book and all kinds of stuff in there. But so I'm going to slip that back in there. In case you are not familiar with The Beyond by Lucio Fulci, let me give you a little bit of a plot synopsis on this. If your new business venture is cited as the cursed gateway to the hell dimension of the beyond, then maybe it's time to move elsewhere. But Liza, played by Catriona MacColl, is determined to make her New Orleans hotel work until strange things start happening. People vanish, and her waking thoughts are haunted by a ghostly blind woman who seems to hold the answers to the whole bizarre fever dream. As reality breaks down and the plot explodes, Liza must journey far from everything she understands and descend into the beyond. As with most Lucio Fulci films, or at least his horror stuff, because Lucio Fulci didn't just do horror, he did some westerns. He may have even done some comedies. I'm not really sure. So, as with most of his horror stuff, this is super gory. Has people coming back from the dead. I mean, you could call some of it zombies. I mean, the special effects in this, in my opinion, are just fantastic. You have a young girl who she turns into like a zombie and gets her head like a big hole in her head. And that is one of the most incredible effects I believe I've ever seen, at least in an older horror movie. I was always astounded by that. But you have other, kills in this that almost rival that, but that is one of my favorites. And you have the Beyond, which pretty much is like it says in the description for the movie. It's the gateway to hell, or I mean, you're going to this netherworld. When you step across that threshold into the beyond, there's no coming back from that. Hey, Blitzful. $71, you say, I love the Beyond, and it was one of my best purchases. In later years, I don't know if it was to do with, Fulci's failing health or something else, where his movies weren't quite as good as, things like City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, House by the Cemetery, all of that stuff. But he was a master, in my opinion, when he was doing stuff like The Beyond. I remember actually the first time me and Steve watched it together, and I guess we were watching the Blu-ray, and it had great sound, and we could hear all this stuff going on, coming out of all the speakers, and we were just like, wow. But oh Lord, I hope it's not your future resident 71. TJ, you say he'd be sleeping, oh Curly, LOL. Because oh Curly Jaws, sorry, missed that. If Lucio Fulci was still alive, what would he be doing? Still directing? And TJ says he'd be sleeping, oh Curly, LOL. I don't know what Lucio Fulci would be doing now. I don't know if he'd be directing or not. Maybe he'd be concentrating more on writing something, maybe. Blissful, you say the gateway to hell is upstate New York. TJ, you say, if you don't know the beyond, get out of here. Yeah, I mean, not to offend anybody that hasn't seen the beyond, but if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen the beyond, I don't know where you've been. And I'm talking about a hardcore horror fan. I would have to ask you, where have you been all this time? And again, that's not meant to offend anybody, but this is an almost perfect horror film for me anyway. You have the spooky house in New Orleans that Catriona McCall's character inherits, which used to be a hotel. She wants to turn it into a hotel again. But a long time ago, there was a guy named Spike who was an artist, and they branded him a warlock. And he was, tortured severely and kind of walled up in this hotel. And so you see Spike come back from the beyond, I guess. And Spike's wanting to pretty much get his revenge. And then you have Liza, you have the blind girl, and you have all these weird things that, you have, and this guy's name is Joe, and he's a plumber who comes to fix something at Liza's inherited hotel in the basement, and he gets killed, probably by Spike. I think that's what they're supposed to be indicating. And then he comes back to life, and like it's all these people that died come back and either create more blind people or zombified people or whatever. You got all kinds of things going on here. And I mean, it's a really fun, gory roller coaster ride, pretty much. And I've always loved it ever since I got into Fulci. It started out with Gates of Hell, City of the Living Dead. And then the first time I saw the Beyond, it was actually under the title Seven Doors of Death, which was heavily truncated, a heavily cut version of the Beyond, which I would not recommend seeing that version. Watch it under the Beyond title if at all possible. This, I don't even know, maybe on eBay, maybe you can get this version of it now. but it does have some special features. You get a brand new HD restoration of the film presented completely uncut. You get 5.1 DTS HD master audio. You get an introduction by Cynthia Monreale, audio commentary with Antonella Fulci, Lucio Fulci's daughter, and Kayla Model. Audio commentary with David Warbeck and Catriona McCall, which is really great. And kind of sad too because David Warbeck's no longer with us. AKA Sarah Keller, Cynthia Morial remembers the Beyond. Catriona McCall Q&A from the Glasgow Film Theatre. Open Your Eyes Easter egg. And then there's special features on a second disc. One Step Beyond, Catriona McCall remembers a spaghetti splatter classic, Beyond Italy. Louis Fuller, which was the pen name for Lucio Fulci for Seven Doors of Death. So Louis Fuller and the Seven Doors of Death interview with U.S. distributor and editor of the Beyond, Terry Levine, Butcher Baker and Zombie Maker, the Living Dead legacy of special effects wizard Giannotti De Rossi, Fulci flashbacks, Dario Argento, Daria Nicoletti, Sergio Stivoletti, Antonella Fulci, and others remember the Godfather of Gore, alternative color pre-credit sequence, and original international trailer. So that is the Beyond. Texas Southern Halloween movie, shove a pumpkin up your ass. 71, you say Hallmark isn't allowed in your house. I mean, I've watched a few Hallmark things, but it's not something I watch often. TJ, you say, I'm thinking of doing 2 different Halloween costumes from the Beyond this year. That sounds awesome, TJ. I hope you take pictures or something so we can see that. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, Fulci biopic. Who would you get to play him? I'd get Quentin Tarantino to direct and write. That's another really hard one, oh, Curly Jaws. I don't know who I could imagine playing Fulci. The spider scene was awesome, but a little creepy because I don't like spiders. 71, you said I could film a horror film in my basement. It's that creepy. I probably would too, TJ. TJ, you said the Beyond is confusing as is. Can't imagine an edited version. Yeah, I would never recommend you watch the Seven Doors of Death in any capacity. I just didn't know better back then. I did not know it was under another title called The Beyond. And I don't even think, come to think of it, I think I may have seen Seven Doors of Death before I realized that was the truncated Fulci movie, The Beyond. Hello, Wes. Wes, you say they already did a Fulci biopic. Well, I'm sure in some way, shape, or form they did. TJ, you say, oh, I have pictures. Don't you worry. LOL. Oh, I don't know. I couldn't stand it. I know they get rid of pests, but oof, I couldn't stay at your house. Because you say I have a house full of spiders. I let them live to kill bugs. Blissful, you love spiders. Anything else, and I'm okay with it. Not spiders. 71, you say, I love them until a nasty one bites me. Hopefully, the daddy longleggers kill off the evil ones. I don't mind daddy longlegs. I guess I don't consider them really spiders. Tell me when you don't like snakes. Well, I have a pet snake. I have a ball python. I love him. His name is Ash. But anyway, I don't know if I've ever talked about this movie on any stream, but this is Joe D'Amato's Beyond the Darkness, Buio Omega. And I had Steve buy me this a few years back. He asked if there was any movie that he could buy me on Blu-ray, and I didn't have this on Blu-ray. And so I said, yeah, see if you can get me Beyond the Darkness. '71, you say, actually, you can kill someone by putting daddy longlegger in food. Some girl I worked with told me, ugh. Oh, yeah, Fulci for Fate. Severn releases it. Yeah, I think that was the one that Steve didn't like too well, Wes. So, for those of you that have never heard of Beyond Darkness or Beyond the Darkness, let me give you a little bit of a plot synopsis. So, on a luxurious estate in the Italian countryside, Francesco mourns his deceased lover. Soon, pain and loss turn to madness and violence. For this troubled young man cannot part with his love just yet. Excavating her corpse, he preserves her body with excruciating attention to detail. However, that is only the beginning. Overcome with rage, he murders innocent young women and anyone else who infringes on the privacy of his estate. The legendary Joe D'Amato's most infamous movie, here for the first time on Blu-ray and DVD, featuring an acclaimed score by the Italian rock band Goblin. So, I thought that this film, although more gruesome than a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stuff, it seems to have an Edgar Allan Poe feel to it. Because you got this guy living in this luxurious estate, and his beloved dies, and he descends into madness, basically. But it is gory. EccentricCinema.com actually said it's genuinely horrifying. I guess if you think about the madness that sets in Francesco, you could call it horrifying because of how quickly after the death of his girlfriend, he descends into madness. I mean, it seems to unravel like that. So, it's not like the guy has a lengthy mourning and then he loses his mind. It's like she dies and he freaking loses it. He cannot deal. Um, and in some ways, it's kind of got a psycho vibe to it. Only the guy didn't kill his mother. He didn't poison his mother and then couldn't deal with her death. His girlfriend dies. Through no fault of his. I believe she's sick with some kind of illness. I don't know if they ever describe what kind of illness she has, whether she has cancer or something else. But he literally, will do anything to keep her with him. In much the same way that Norman Bates tried to preserve his mother after she was dead. He went to the cemetery. You know, or he probably, the way Psycho was designed, probably Norman Bates uh, stowed his mother's corpse before the coffin was even buried. So um, in this case, he actually excavates her, digs her up, and preserves her, and then basically wants to kill anybody that comes between him and, like it says, the privacy of his estate. Um, but you're probably thinking, "Gosh, Dana, why is this the movie that you wanted Steve to buy for you?" And I think Steve kind of wondered that too. Why is she wanting this movie? Well, to be honest, I had seen this movie. Um, I don't know. I think it may have been a blind buy, uh, or maybe a blind rental, I should say. Um, and I came across it that way and watched it, and I just thought it was really, I mean, it was creepy and demented and all of that stuff, but it was I think Joe D'Amato did a really good job with this as a horror film. Plus, it has the Great Goblin doing the soundtrack, which adds a totally another layer to a movie that's already well made. Um, adds so much more atmosphere to a movie that's already pretty much brimming with atmosphere. Um, so again, if you have not seen this under either Beyond the Darkness or Buell Omega, then I would highly recommend you seek this out. Now, this is a Shriek Show Blu-ray, and I don't know how much one of these would cost right now because it was out of print for a while at the time that or you couldn't get it in. They were out of stock. It seemed everywhere at the time I asked Steve to get it for me. And so he said, "Hey, Dana, it's out of stock right now." And I think he got me something else. And then later he noticed it was back in stock and he got this for me as well. So, yeah, that's what I thought, 71. I think I was remembering back to Psycho, and I don't think they buried a weighted coffin. I think that was brought up at some point. So yeah, I think he stowed her corpse before the way before she was buried. That's love, lol. Yeah, even demented love, but it's still love. Um, TJ, you say I think that Fulci bio is on Tubi also. I believe it is. It seems like it was. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. I'll give a thumbs up to this movie. Not to me, but let's see. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, who do you think is an underrated director? For me, it's Uwe Boll. House of the Dead was classic. Oh, God. Oh, Curly Jaws, I hate House of the Dead. I hate that movie. I would definitely not say Uwe Boll because that, in my opinion, of course, that guy's an awful director. Um, but I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, probably if I had enough time to think of it, I could give you several, um, but sorry that I hated House of the Dead, but that has been one of those movies that I vehemently hate. 71, you say, I heard Hallmark was going to have wood chipper, chainsaw, and bat movies this year. That would be interesting. Liz, what you say? That would be a Hallmark movie I'd watch. So anyway, that's Beyond the Darkness. I'll talk real quick about the special features before we move on to the next one. So this includes both Blu-ray and DVD formats. It has an interview with art director Donatella Donati, audio commentary with art director Donatella Donati, interview with actress Cynthia Morale. And if you remember, she was from the Beyond as well. Steele's Gallery promotional trailer and Shriek Show trailers. And that is Beyond the Darkness. Okay. So, moving on to our next one is an Argento film. Boy, that got blurry all of a sudden. Hoo-wee. Hope it clears up. There we go. That's better. This is the bird with the crystal plumage. And this is the copy that Steve gave to me. I think he probably got a 4K or something and gave me this one. This is actually the stunning debut by Dario Argento. In his first film as a writer and director, Dario Argento single-handedly created the giallo genre and instantly emerged as the filmmaker critics worldwide hailed as the Italian Hitchcock. Tony Massante and Susie Kendall star in this pulse-pounding suspense thriller about an American writer in Rome who witnesses and is helpless to stop a brutal assault. The cunning vengeance of a maniac and the heart-stopping horror that lives and kills deep in the dark. And this, as with a lot of Argento films, and I brought this up before, has a lot of things that turn out to be, it was not what you first thought you saw. It's one of those things, again, where what you thought you saw, it's totally flipped upside down by the end of the film. And that's something that I love about Argento, is that you always got to be on top of things. You always got to be on the ball. You always got to be paying attention. And I've heard people say that Argento stuff sometimes doesn't make a lot of sense. The same thing about Fulci's. But I could understand that on one hand, and then on the other hand, I could understand too that the more you have an understanding that you've got to pay attention with these types of movies, the easier it will be for you to understand those twists and turns along the way. And you want to know when's the last time I saw House of the Dead, old Curly Jaws? Probably when that damn thing came out. I hated it so bad, I don't ever want to see it again. Argento is a very gifted 71. I totally agree. I mean, with Argento, I think even more so than a lot of the other Italian directors of this, of giallos and horror films in general, you almost might feel like you're losing your mind when you watch an Argento film, because you go so long in his movies thinking one thing, and then things get twisted around. It's like, holy shit, what happened here? Because I thought I had it all figured out, but no, I didn't have it figured out. I didn't even have it partially figured out. And that's why Argento is such a master, because he's able to manipulate the audience in that way. And there's very few directors that can do that. Horror directors or giallo directors. And so Argento would definitely have to be praised for being able to do that. because in almost all of his films, that is the case. And he manipulates you from the first scene to the last scene. And if you don't believe me, watch a lot of his earlier films. I don't think so much with some of his later films, but all of those early films, manipulation is the key center point to Argento's films. $71, you say, if I ever win the lottery and can relax full time with no money worries, I will just watch horror movies every day around the clock. That would sound like a fun time. Oh, Carla Josh, you say, me, you, Uncle Bill, and CK need to do a watch on House of the Dead. Oh, Lord. Well, hey, Robert Scott. Haven't heard from you in a long, long time. You say, howdy, Dana. Have you watched Dark Glasses? And what do you think of it? I have not watched Dark Glasses yet. I believe Steve did, Rob, but I have not. So I'll have to get back to you on that one. TJ, you say, I saw there's a few Argento flicks on Shudder I haven't seen yet, like Trauma. I got The Bird 4K, by the way. Yeah, I think that's the one Steve got, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage 4K, and that's why he ended up giving me his Blue Underground Blu-ray. A Trauma is a good one, too. It's not at the top of my favorite Argento films, but I do like it. I do enjoy it. TJ says, 71, if that happens and you want to fund a horror feature, let me know. Well, it's good to see you too, Rob. I mean, it's like I was telling everybody a little bit earlier, and I'm not going to go into that deep, dark depression thing again, but I've had some trouble with my current place of employment. And so I've been a little depressed. So it's good to see my old friends coming into the chat and all of that. So welcome, and I hope you continue to come to my live streams, Rob. So let's see, special features on here. You do get audio commentary with journalist Alan Jones and Kim Newman. Out of the Shadows interview with co-writer and director Dario Argento. Painting with Darkness interview with cinematographer Vittorio I'm probably massacring these names, Storario. The Music of Murder interview with composer Ennio Morricone. Eva's Talking interview with actress Eva Renzi. A U.S. trailer, an Italian trailer, and some TV spots. And that is A Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Okay, we're going to have a few Christmas type movies in here. I know it's not Christmas time, it's Halloween time, but you know, they were in my letter B's on my shelf, so got to cover them. So the first one is Black Christmas. This is the original Black Christmas, directed by the late, great Bob Clark. And as you can see, this version is signed by Art Hindle, who was in the movie Black Christmas. Yeah, I pretty much say that too, 71, that Halloween is my Christmas. I know it probably sounds blasphemous to a lot of people that I say Halloween's probably my favorite holiday, but I have to say it is. So this is the Seasons Grievings edition. This is the Canadian version. I had a tough time getting this. I tried to get it from the Canada's Amazon, and was not able to. I guess it was some kind of rights thing or something, but I managed to get it elsewhere. Um, and their whole thing, whenever I tried to order it from the Canadian Amazon site, was they said they could not guarantee that it would play properly. I'm like, it's it's a region A. I don't know why it wouldn't play. So la 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 die. Exactly. See you, Texas. Y'all enjoy the movies. Good night, Blissful. I'll see you next time, hopefully. Um, so this was a movie that, to be honest, the very first time I watched Black Christmas, I didn't much care for it. I thought it was raunchy and bawdy and all of that stuff, but didn't really think it was a good horror film. Then I waited a while and watched it again, and I was like, wow. I was like, what? I don't know what I didn't see in this movie the first time around, but this is an amazing horror film and a very creepy horror film. Um, I mean, it has a little blood in it. I wouldn't call this an extremely gory horror film, but it works on so many other levels that it is just exceptional, in my opinion. Um, oh, Curly Georgie says somebody in my town ran with a machete at a cop and got shot multiple times. Like, damn, the original Black Christmas is awful. The 2006 one is good. Well, I'll have to politely disagree with you on that one, oh Curly Jaws, because I hate that one. Um, the original, all the way for me, Bob Clark was the master with this. Um, so let me read a little bit of the plot synopsis in case there's somebody watching this now or that watches it later uh, that has never heard of Black Christmas. So, before Halloween, there was Black Christmas, considered by many to be the first slasher movie. The 1974 Canadian classic by Bob Clark begins with an unseen figure sneaking into a sorority house, oblivious to the predator in their attic. The housemates break out the holiday cheer, but soon start receiving obscene prank calls, and one of them goes missing. As the police investigate, the girls who are dealing with problems of their own, including an unwanted pregnancy, are stalked by the murderer. Black Christmas is thick with mystery, tension, and terror, and that's in the style of Hitchcock. Okay, I definitely see Hitchcock influence in this. But one of the things that I think makes this horror film so great and so unique is because, at least in the original version, you never find out who Billy is. You never find out who the killer is. And so to me, that is much more terrifying than if he was revealed to be someone that you had seen in the movie. I mean, there are several red herrings. But it seems that over time within the movie, these red herrings are dispatched. And then you realize that Billy is still up in that damn attic, and nobody thought to go look up in the attic. There's one of the dead girls that's up in the attic still. And also Billy is up there, still up there talking to himself. And I mean, the phone calls too in the movie, they start out as just nasty, obscene phone calls to these sorority girls. But then they become steadily more sinister and very unnerving. And you would really have to see the movie to get the full effect of that. There's no way that I can describe it in such a way that you're really going to understand it unless you watch the film. But this is a film that becomes steadily more terrifying as more and more stuff happens, and more of these sinister phone calls come through to the sorority house. Then you have the element of the killer is inside the house, calling from inside the house. So you have the old urban legend thing that usually is attributed to babysitters, but in this case, it's a sorority house. Um, so I don't know. I don't. There's really not anything that I can give away with this movie. I could talk about all the kills and stuff, but I won't. Because if you have not seen it, I want you to be able to experience it pretty much fresh. But there's not really anything that I could reveal or give away or anything like that because it all goes back to what I said at the beginning of this, where I was started talking about it, is something that I feel that makes this stand apart from a lot of other slasher films is the fact that the killer's never caught. We don't know who the killer is. And he's still in the freaking house at the end. And that is just so, to me, that is so chilling. I mean, first you got the phone calls that get steadily more sinister. Then you have Billy actually attacking the girls, chasing one of the girls all over the house. There's one scene where you see just Billy's eye, one of his eyes, peeking through a door or a crack in the door. And he's talking in that weird ass creepy voice. And then he starts, just losing it and attacking one of the girls. Curly Dodgy say you didn't like the evil twins. I didn't like a damn thing about that movie, honestly, Curly Jaws. Injured, you say Jess's boyfriend is just as psycho as Billy. Yes, Jess's boyfriend, Peter, definitely has problems in this movie. But I think that some people might disagree with me, but I think it was important that they had the Peter character in the movie. Not only as a potential red herring, but also as a way to keep you off balance because you've already got Billy. Then you have this whole other thing where Jess is having to deal with her crazy ass boyfriend acting completely irrational about her pregnancy and what she wants to do and not do and all that. And he goes back and forth between really acting like he loves her and then calling her a selfish bitch and all kinds of things. So, yes, obviously there are some problems with Peter. TJ, you say they weren't twins in the remake. She was Billy's daughter and sister. Ew, LOL. Yeah, that was a little too twisted for me. Well, hi, Little Dumplings Books. You say it's a yearly must see like Christmas Vacation. It is for me. Andrew, you say without Peter, all the near feminist themes are lost. Yeah. And I think, I mean, some people might disagree with me, but I think that those needed to be in there. It just added something to the movie. But this does have, oh, and by the way, this is coming out on 4K in December. So I already have my copy pre ordered. But I'm going to keep this, of course, because our Hindle has signed it. So this is the ultimate edition, supposedly over 2 hours of new material. So you got Billy is watching a commentary with actor Nick Mancuso as Billy, who Nick Mancuso did do a lot of the voice work for Billy, but a lot of the phone calls, some of the more nasty phone calls, I think were actually Bob Clark doing the voice, but there were many people that did the different voices on the phone. But Nick Mancuso was pretty much Billy. So I think that's interesting that they had Nick Mancuso do the commentary as Billy. It's a little bit unnerving and a little bit distracting sometimes, but it's an interesting take on a commentary. There's also a documentary, The Black Christmas Legacy, a discussion with industry insiders on the longevity of the film. 40th anniversary panel at Fan Expo 2014 featuring John Saxon, Art Hindle, Lynn Griffin, and Nick Mancuso. A 16-page Rue Morgue mini magazine. A gallery, original Black Christmas promotional materials. Original script with handwritten notes. That's a BD-ROM element. Plus archive featurettes, including documentaries, interviews, deleted scenes, commentaries, and more. And that is Black Christmas. The next one I'm going to talk about is also a Christmas film, but not, in my opinion, well, in my opinion, it's nowhere near as good as Black Christmas. That is Blood Beat. And I hadn't heard of this for years and only heard about it in, I guess, the last few years. And also did not know when I first heard about it that it was a Christmas movie till I started doing more research into it. Excuse me. So here's a little bit of the plot. Sarah and her boyfriend Ted have decided to spend Christmas with Ted's mother at her home in rural Wisconsin. However, upon arriving, Sarah begins to feel a strange presence around her, and soon after, a mysterious figure garbed in a samurai outfit begins murdering the townsfolk, eventually setting his sights on Sarah, Ted, and his family. This is called a supernatural slasher film like no other. Fabrice Friato's French U.S. co-production, Bloodbeat, applies an art house aesthetic to its American regional cinema stylings, resulting in a dreamy and haunting atmosphere to complement the bloodletting and outrageous twist. Barely released on video in the US and never officially released on disc, Vinegar Syndrome presents the Blu ray debut of this one of a kind horror oddity restored in 4K from its original 35 millimeter negative. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm covering it because it's in my B titled horror films. But I'm not a big fan of this movie. I mean, you don't hear that too often when I'm talking about the movies that are in my collection. I don't really want to get rid of it because it does have a few things that I like about it. But overall, I feel like it's a slow film. Um, I don't recall there being a whole lot of blood and gore in this movie. Um, I didn't really understand the samurai killing people. I didn't understand its relation to the guy's mother and his girlfriend, I believe. I didn't understand what was going on there. Um, but if you've got, how long is this one? 86 minutes. If you got a little less than an hour and a half to waste, there could be worse uses of your time than watching Blood Beat. It's not an absolutely horrible movie. It's just not one that I like to watch a whole lot. Uh, and I mean, it looks like it'd be a really cool movie by this cover, but I am warning you that it is sort of slow, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I know we don't always need our horror movies to make sense, but this one really didn't make sense. I didn't really see what it was trying to say or do or produce or anything like that. And also, I'm not really big on art house aesthetic, as they call it. Um, that artsy fartsy type of filmmaking. So, if they're going to be artsy fartsy, I think they need to do something besides a horror film. Um, TJ, you said watch Blood Beat one Halloween. Had no clue it was Christmas. LOL. Right? Yeah, I didn't either. Uh, I mean, I suppose you could watch it anytime. But TJ, what did you think of it? Are you like me? Did you think it was slow and nonsensical and artsy fartsy and all that, or am I totally off base with that? But let's see. Let's talk about some special features on it. It is newly scanned and restored in 4K from the 35 millimeter original negative. There's a commentary track with Fabrice Sofriatos, the writer and director. Maybe I need to listen to that. Maybe I would understand the movie better. A video interview with Fabrice Sofriatos. Video interview with Vladimir von Mate, the cinematographer. Bloodbeat silent version. I haven't watched that either. That's 28 minutes, featuring Nervous Curtains and Horror Remix. Stills Gallery, a reversible cover artwork. And yes, that is a special feature. I'll show you the other. There's the other artwork there for you guys that might be interested. But that is Bloodbeat. Now moving on to one that is one of Uncle Bill's favorite horror movies. And that is Blood Diner. This is a Vestron collector series, Blu-ray. I love this tagline. First they greet you, then they eat you. And this was a movie that I don't know why, but I was really late to the game and watching this. I don't think I watched it until after I heard Dead Pit talk about it. And I had no clue. I mean, I remember seeing it on the shelf in the video rental stores I went to, but I don't know why I never rented it. TJ, you say, yeah, I actually nodded off in the middle, so don't remember a lot. LOL, I remember the subtitles had a sound effect called mystical boinging. I think I actually dozed off too the first time that I watched it and had to go back and try to rewatch it. So, this is one wacky movie. I mean, it's sort of, some parts of it sort of remind me of Blood Feast, which I'm also going to talk about, but a whole different time period though. So, grab a table at the Blood Diner, a cut above the rest. The Nemtit brothers run the most popular restaurant in town. Popular, that is, if you're the county coroner. The head chef has a real human touch with the special recipes, a killer lineup of delicacies made from human flesh. One of the most insane and over the top horror comedies ever made. Blood Diner is presented here, fully uncut, restored from original vault materials, and features a buffet of tasty new supplemental features you'll just die for. And this movie starts out with hilariously gory things happening, and it ends the same way. The middle is chock full of zany stuff happening. So it starts out with the brothers when they're kids, and I can't really remember why the mother leaves them alone, but I don't know, she leaves the boys alone and tells them to behave themselves. And their uncle Anwar, or whatever they call him, ends up busting in almost, and he's being chased by the cops because he's massacring women. And so he's wanting to bring about Sheetar, I believe. I think it's Sheetar. And um, so that's why he's been killing these women. Well, the cops shoot him dead in front of his nephews. They end up years later digging him up. And so basically, Uncle Anwar is eyeballs and a brain in a jar who tells these boys what to do to bring about Sheetar. And so then they've got to lure these women to their deaths and offer them as an offering to Sheetar. That's your basic storyline of this. But I love this movie. It is so much fun. I don't know why I ever missed out on this. Why I never rented it. It just slid right by me. But now I'm glad to say that I've watched it more than once, and I laugh and chuckle and all that every time I watch it. Plus, it's got plenty of gory kills in it, plenty of outrageously insane kills in it, including a guy that gets run over multiple times by one of the brothers. I mean, he literally just keeps running. I bet he runs over him 20 times or more. So, yeah, this Blood Diner is a super fun movie, a great horror comedy. I know some people say they don't really like horror comedies. Um, I do if they're done well, and I think Blood Diner is done well. So I would recommend this one, even to people that say they normally don't like horror comedies. I say give this one a try. If you can watch it in a for free version, of course. But I would highly, highly recommend Blood Diner. So I'll talk quickly about the special features. So you get audio commentary with director Jackie Kong, featurettes Queen Kong, the cook, the uncle, and the detective. Open for business, scoring for Sheetar. You Are What They Eat, archival interview with project consultant Eric Caden, theatrical trailer, TV spots, and a still gallery. And that is Blood Diner, guys. Let's see. TJ, you say I rented Blood Diner back in the day. I had the VHS and Blu-ray. It's also a loose Blood Feast remake. Yes, I definitely agree with you there, TJ. But in a lot of ways, I think it's more fun than Blood Feast, though. Okay, so here's another movie that I talked about on the Mad as Hell show. So I'm going to be real quick about this. This is Blood Games. This is the rape or revenge sort of uh, film where the women softball players who go up against these smarmy, sick men who just want to take advantage of these gals, and they cheat at the softball game. So they basically get their comeuppance at the hands of these gals, as you can see there on the cover. This again was one that Steve was like, why on earth did you buy that, Dana? Why did you get the Vinegar Syndrome copy of it? I had an HD copy on the hard drive. Well, because frankly, it sounded good to me. It sounded like something I would want to watch more than once, and I'd like to own it, as opposed to having a digital copy of it. So, um, Again, I'm not going to go into great detail about Blood Games, but to say it's not as gritty and grimy as something like I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on the Left, not nearly as exploited as those two films, but a good film in its own right. These gals ain't messing around, as again, as you can see on the cover. And I think it is well worth a watch. Again, I would say don't go out and plunk down your hard earned money right away for it. Um, but definitely, if you can watch it in a for free version, I would recommend it. Now, if you do manage or do own the Blu ray, there are some special features on here, newly scanned and restored in 2K from its 35 millimeter interpositive, playing a tough babe, an interview with actress Laura Albert, playing hardball, an interview with actor Ken Carpenter, original theatrical trailer, promotional still gallery, and there is reversible artwork, cover artwork, which this is the other artwork for it. And this was also another movie that I don't ever remember this being in a video store uh, where I grew up. So, okay. So, I'm probably these next couple or so, I'm probably going to cover quite quickly because I feel like that I've covered them quite recently. One of these is Blood Harvest, the Tiny Tim slasher. Uh, give you a little bit of a plot synopsis on this. So Jill has just returned home from college to the rural farm community where she grew up, only to discover that her parents have mysteriously vanished. Learning that her father, a banker, has become the local pariah for overseeing land foreclosures on local farmers, Jill quickly becomes the victim of a series of strange and increasingly depraved assaults. With her childhood friend and former lover Gary and his mentally unstable brother Mervo, played by Tiny Tim, willing to believe her, Jill begins to fear for her life. All the while, a stalking mass killer is abducting, torturing, and brutally killing those closest to Jill. An unrelenting, grim, and perverse psychosexual thriller, Blood Harvest mixes gruesome throat slashings, copious amounts of TNA, and an unhinged supporting performance from music sensation Tiny Tim. Long available only in heavily cut and gray market editions. And I'm not sure what a gray market edition is. Maybe some of you can school me in that. Vinegar Syndrome proudly presents Blood Harvest on Blu ray, fully uncut, uncensored, and newly restored in 4K from its recently discovered original camera negative. So, this movie to me is an off the wall, low budget, dare I say it, horror classic. I mean, has it got the best acting in it? No, it does not. I mean, the Gary character is pretty silly acting most of the time. The main character, what is her name? Iona Tonia Salchek, that plays Jill. Um, she's better than Dean West, the guy that plays Gary. But still, and there's a few other background characters that obviously acting is not their forte. Um, I think the best thing about this movie though is Tiny Tim's character of Merv or Mervo or Marvelous Mervo. Because I mean, Tiny Tim, I have never seen him in a role like this before. Um, and he seemed to relish the thought of playing this character. Um, I don't think I ever suspected Merv of anything other than being a little weird and a little off. But he did add another element of creepiness to a film that already has an abundance, in my opinion, of creepy moments. Um, and I don't know, I would just highly recommend this one, especially if you've never seen it. Again, find a for free version. Do not just based on what I'm saying, just go run out and buy this damn thing. I ended up buying it on DVD when Retro Media Entertainment put it out, and then that version was withdrawn from the market soon after I got it. I don't know if there were rights issues or what, but I was so glad to have gotten it in that format at that time because I mean, it sold like hotcakes and then got jerked from the shelves. So when Vinegar Syndrome got a hold of it and put it out on Blu ray, I was like, I gotta have it on Blu ray. Um, but I would recommend it at least for a watch. Again, it's not a very long film, 88 minutes, 1986 film. Um, and it's got Tiny Tim in it in this weird ass role. Andrew, you say, I don't love the film, but Tiny Tim is fascinating in it. Yeah, and I could see a lot of people saying that, it's not a really great film, but there's something about Tiny Tim and the character he plays in it that gives it a little extra to it. Um, but again, I promise I'm not going to go on forever about this one. The special features, it does have a newly scanned and restored in 4K from a 16 millimeter original camera negative, brand new commentary track with producer and co-writer Leszek Berzinski. Every critic is going to butcher it. An archival interview with Tiny Tim on Blood Harvest, which is actually very interesting. Tiny Tim performs in raw interview footage from Niagara Falls, September 3rd, 1987, which would have been not long after this movie was made. A booklet with essay by Tiny Tim biographer Justin A. Martell, reversible cover artwork, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And this was also directed by Bill Rebane. And there's the other artwork, but I don't like that nearly as well as the big Tiny Tim clown face, the Merv clown face on there. I think that's so much better. Okay, so moving right along is another one that I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on because I believe we had a watch along on it. I've talked more than once about it, but that is Blood Hook. You can't worm your way out. And Blood Hook was another one that I remember seeing this artwork, probably in video rental stores, but for whatever reason, I never rented it. So as time went on, and then Steve and I got married, and I kept seeing things about Blood Hook for whatever reason. And Steve said, well, I got it on the hard drive. You can watch it on the hard drive if you want. And this was prior to Vinegar Syndrome putting out this Blu-ray. And so I finally sat down one night and watched Blood Hook on the hard drive. So let me give you a little bit of a plot synopsis before we move on with this. So 17 years ago, Peter's grandfather went missing under mysterious circumstances. Now, Peter and his friends have returned to the placid Wisconsin town to check out his inherited lake house and to partake in the annual Muskie Madness fishing competition. Soon after his arrival, Peter begins to sense that something isn't quite right, but none of his friends nor the local sheriff will believe him. But as townsfolk and tourists begin to disappear, Peter becomes determined to solve the mystery, as well as that of his grandfather's disappearance, and soon finds himself facing off against a fish hook wielding madman. This is the feature film debut from director Jim Mallon, who did Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie. Blood Hook is a distinctly comedic slasher that mixes copious bloodshed with wry satire. Never released domestically in its original version. So that might be why maybe I could have sworn I saw this artwork somewhere, but perhaps that wasn't the original version. Vinegar Syndrome presents this underseen regional horror oddity, fully uncut and featuring previously censored gore and mayhem on Blu-ray and a fresh cinematographer-approved restoration from its original camera negative. Okay, this film is wacky, it's fun, it's gory in some spots, and just, as I've said about other movies, batshit crazy. Plus, you also have the character of Bev D. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Bev D. You have to watch this movie to see who Bev D is and see what she's all about. But to watch her in this movie, I think, is to love her. So I'll just say Bev D. Okay. Um, so again, I'm not going to go on and on about this because I feel like I covered Bloodhook quite recently. So I'll talk a little bit about the special features before we move on to the next film. So this is newly scanned and restored in 2K from 16 millimeter original camera negative. Hook, line, and sinker, an interview with director Jim Mallon. First Blood Hook, an interview with actress Lisa Todd. What's in the Tackle Box, an interview with FX artist Jim Southers. Audio interview with cinematographer and editor Marcia Calm. Still Gallery, original theatrical trailer, and also a reversible cover, which I will show you, which is another one that it's pretty cool, but I still like this one the best. I can't believe we still got 5 people in here. Oh boy. Okay. So the next one is one that I will probably be will be on heavy rotation at my house very soon for the Thanksgiving holiday, and that is Blood Rage. This Thanksgiving, it's not cranberry sauce. Okay. This also has the distinction, at least for me, since I'm a huge Ted Raimi fan, of having Ted Raimi in the beginning sequences in a blink and you'll miss him performance, okay? As a condom salesman at the drive-in. So, is this a really like super well-made movie? No, it's not. Does it have the best acting in it? No, it does not. And this was another movie that it was years before I even heard of it. I think the only reason I ran across it originally was me being a huge fan that I am of Ted Raimi. At one time, I was trying to watch everything that Ted Raimi had been in. And I came across this little known gem. And it sounded cool, so I watched it. So, and I've been a fan ever since. So when Arrow came out with this Blu-ray release, of course I had to get it. TJ, you say I checked in on Uncle Bill and came back again. LOL. Well, thanks TJ for coming back. I appreciate that. So let me give you a little bit of a plot synopsis for Blood Rage, which was also known as Nightmare at Shadow Woods. What do you get if you combine Thanksgiving, TV star Louise Lasser, Mary Hartman, and I'm guessing that Louise Lasser was weird in everything she was in. Perhaps she was a weird person anyway, but I just have to break into my plot synopsis here to say Louise Lasser plays a mother of twin boys, Todd and Terry. And the opening scene, she's at a drive-in with a guy who looks oddly to me like Bruce Campbell. It's not, but he looks like him. And she's obviously too old to be making out at a drive-in with this guy. It is just so weird. But it has to be seen to be believed. But anyway, killer 80 cents and some truly gruesome special effects courtesy of Ed French. Why it's Blood Rage, of course. Twins Todd and Terry seem like sweet boys. That is, until one of them takes an axe to the face of a fellow patron at the local drive-in. Todd is blamed for the bloody crime and institutionalized, whilst twin brother Terry goes free. 10 years later, as the family gathers around the table for a Thanksgiving meal, the news comes in that Todd has escaped. But the real killer, in fact, has the real killer, in fact, been in their midst all along? Shot in 1983, but not released until 1987. So that's a long period of time, guys, several years. Blood Rage is a gloriously gruesome slice of 80s slasher heaven, now restored from the original negative for its world Blu-ray debut. TJ, you say she's a quirky turkey, LOL. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I totally agree. So this is not rated. If there is a rated version in here, and I am going to talk about the 3 discs on here. So this is a 3 disc director approved limited edition. So you get 3 versions of the film. You get Blood Rage, the original home video version, a Nightmare at Shadow Woods, the theatrical recut, and an alternate composite cut combining footage from both versions, original stereo sound, reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Mark Schoenbach, fully illustrated collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by Joseph A. Ziemba, author of Bleeding Skull, a 1980s trash horror odyssey, which is a book that I'd love to get my hands on, but unfortunately it's so expensive. I can't afford it right now. There's Blu-ray Disc 1 and DVD Blood Rage. Brand new 2K restoration of the hard home video version, transferred from the camera negative and featuring the original title card of Slasher. Audio commentary with director John Grissmer. Both sides of the camera, an interview with producer and actress Marianne Cantor. Double Jeopardy, an interview with actor Mark Soper. Geez Louise, an interview with actress Louise Lasser. Man Behind the Mayhem, an interview with special makeup effects creator Ed French. 3 Minutes with Ted Raimi, an interview with actor Ted Raimi. Return to Shadow Woods, featurette revisiting the original locations in Jacksonville, Florida. Alternate opening titles, an emotion still gallery featuring rare behind-the-scenes makeup photos. A Blu-ray Disc 2, Nightmare at Shadow Woods, limited edition exclusive. So Nightmare at Shadow Woods, the re-edited 1987 theatrical cut featuring footage not seen in the Blood Rage home video version. Alternate composite cut of the feature combining footage from the home video and theatrical versions and never before seen outtakes. And I will show you, this is the other artwork, which is pretty cool. And, whoops. Yeah, unfortunately, my case is a little broken on the inside. But there's the disc there. And also, you can see some of the gory bits and other pictures in the movie. Oh. But, yeah, just a really cool package, I think. Plus, you get an advertisement for the Mutilator, which I also have. Well, now I'm going to have trouble getting this. That's one of the pitfalls sometimes of ordering things. I mean, I guess you could get them at the store this way, but sometimes the little spindles are broken in these cases by the time you get them. Okay. So moving right along, there's only one of these that I'm going to cover for the bees, and that is Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast. I'm sure I'll cover these others, but I'm probably going to have to watch them because I believe out of all of these, Blood Feast is the only one that I've seen. So Blood Feast is the Herschel Gordon Lewis gore classic from the early 60s, where a woman, a sheep's tongue is actually pulled out of a woman's mouth. So, and it's actually that scene there at the top where the woman's mouth is all bloody, that the sheep's tongue is pulled out. So, and it's obviously not her tongue, but that's what makes this film so great, is all the quirkiness and all the bad stuff about it. You also have, I guess, Playboy legend. What is her name? Connie Mason, who literally is reading her lines off of the furniture in many scenes, off of lampshades and everything else, and it's obvious. You also have really really funny dialogue, like one of the cops saying, "Yeah, it's going to be one of those long, hard ones," that probably back in 1963 or whatever, they didn't laugh about and didn't think dirty thoughts about it. But us now, more modern audiences watching it, we just lose it completely when we hear stuff like that, or I do. Um, so, um, in case you don't know any background on Blood Feast, basically it's an Egyptian cultist is hired to cater a birthday party. He prepares a culinary catastrophe made from the body parts of sexy young women. And it's only 66 minutes. It's an hour and 6 minutes long, guys. But there's so much to laugh at, enjoy. The crazy gore in it is so much fun. And you could tell that Herschel Gordon Lewis was not taking anything seriously when he was making these movies. He wasn't trying to make a serious horror film. He was wanting to make exactly what it turned out to be, this off the wall drive-in gore classic. And that's exactly what he accomplished. And although Blood Feast is not one that I want to watch every day of the week, I will wait a few months and I'll say, I'll pull out Blood Feast and watch it, just because it's so wacky and, for me, so much fun. TJ, you say, I saw it when it was called Nightmare at Shadow Woods. Could never find it because I didn't know Blood Rage was the same movie. Yeah, there is also another Blood Rage movie that has nothing to do with the Blood Rage that I just talked about. Me and Steve always refer to it as the one with the Yoo-Hoo killer, because the killer works in a Yoo-Hoo bottling factory, I believe. So I don't know if you've ever seen that version of Blood Rage, which I believe that one's from the 70s. TJ, you said Connie Mason was great set decoration, as said, I think, by H.G. Lewis. I would imagine he probably did say that. So there are several special features on this. This is a Something Weird Blu-ray. So you get original theatrical trailers, you get rare outtakes, you get audio commentaries by director Herschel Gordon Lewis and producer David F. Friedman, a gallery of Friedman and Lewis exploitation art, vintage short Carving Magic, rare gore short from 1964, Follow That Skirt, and a trailer for Herschel Gordon Lewis, the godfather of gore. And that is Blood Feast. We're getting down to the bottom of the stack, guys, and you're probably thinking, thank God, But there were a lot of B's in my collection, in my horror collection. If we were doing more than the horror collection, good Lord, there'd be a lot of them. But the next one is Bloody Birthday. This, again, is an Arrow release. The nightmare begins with the kids next door. I always thought that this movie kind of had a... oh, shoot. It just slipped right out of my mind. Oh, Lord. Well, maybe I'll think about it. But see, that's that damn brain fog again. Um, but The Bad Seed is also a movie that it is reminiscent of. So Bloody Birthday is described in this plot synopsis as the bad seed meets Halloween in this deliciously twisted early 80s slasher thriller from director Ed Hunt, who also did The Brain. And starring bona fide scream queen Lori Lethin from Return to Horror High and The Prey. Debbie, Curtis, and Stephen may look cute as buttons, but their angelic facade conceals a wicked, murderous bent. 10 years after the three were all born during a solar eclipse, the Twisted Tots begin a ghastly campaign of murder and bloody mayhem. Only babysitter Joyce, played by Lori Lethin, and younger brother Timmy, played by Casey Martell of E.T. and Growing Pains, can stop these deadly little darlings before it's too late. Mixing the killer kids subgenre with elements of the then booming slice and dice movie, 1981's Bloody Birthday shocks and appalls with its scenes of young children shooting, strangling, and bludgeoning their way through the local population. They sure don't and can't make them like this anymore. And I would totally agree. You don't really see a lot of movies made in this exact way. I mean, you have movies like Orphan and stuff like that, where it's actually an adult looking like a child, but you don't specifically have children, as these kids were, actually participating in violence within a movie. You just don't see that. Yes, Village of the Damned, TJ. That was the movie I was trying to think of. Yes. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, it definitely does remind me of Village of the Damned. Um, so Susan Strasberg is also on this. Julie Brown, Melinda Cordell, and special appearance, and it does say special appearance by Jose Ferrer as the doctor. Um, also, it has Jake from Jake and the Fat Man, Mr. Joe Penny, in this in a very small role as a teacher. So uh, this movie, it's I would say it's more well made than some of the other movies I've talked about here recently. I think it works. I think it's creepy. I think having actual kids simulate this violence worked. And I hope people don't think I'm sick by saying that. But that's, like I said, that's one of the things they pretty much can't do now. And I think it makes it less effective. Um, so I think this was spot on, very effective. I could really believe that these kids were killers. Um, and you have I believe you have Billy Jacoby in this one. And he plays Curtis. I can't remember the boy that plays Steven, but the girl, I'm totally forgetting her name. The little girl who plays Debbie was also in Hospital Massacre or X Ray, who played the young Susan. So I think she's a really good little actress. I mean, she's grown, of course, now, but I think she was good in this and good in that movie as well, the Hospital Massacre movie. Um, I think everybody did an awesome job in this. I really like Lori Lethin. I mean, some people may not. I don't know if I would call her a scream queen per se, but she's almost up there. Um, because like it said, she was not only in this, but she was in Return to Horror High and The Prey. as well. So, yeah, I would highly recommend Bloody Birthday, especially if you like those killer kid movies. This is one of my favorites in that group of films. So this special edition has got a brand new 2K restoration from the original film elements. Um, Brand new audio commentary with director Ed Hunt. There's also brand new audio commentary with The Hysteria Continues. I always enjoy those. Bloody Babysitter, a brand new interview with actress Lori Lethen. Bad Seeds and Body Counts, a brand new video appreciation of Bloody Birthday and the Killer Kids subgenre by film journalist Chris Alexander. Starships and Killer Brains, producer Ken Gord on the cinematic career of his friend and collaborator Ed Hunt. Archival interview with executive producer Max Rosenberg. Original theatrical and promo trailers. And a reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Timothy Patides. So I can show you the other. And actually, I love this artwork. This is the original artwork I remember seeing with the Bloody Birthday title on the cake and the hand with, and there Brandon finally succeeded in knocking it over. The hand coming out of the cake with the fingers lit like candles. So, and you also have a cool little booklet with some pictures from the movie. All right. Curly Jaws, you say, I rather snort fire ants than buy anything from Scream Factory. Never bought anything from them. I mostly stream my stuff. The occasional DVD or Blu-ray is very rare. Yeah, I do have some Scream Factory stuff, Curly Jaws, but I guess I hate to sound like a sellout, but sometimes if that's the only way I can get something on Blu-ray or 4K is to get it from Screen Factory, then that's what I do. But I definitely don't approve of some of their tactics as of the last few years. So the next movie is The Boogans. There is no escape. This actually got a recommendation by Stephen King. I guess he was interviewed in Twilight Zone magazine at one time. He said, I recommend The Boogans, wildly energetic monster movie. And yeah, that's essentially what it is. I had a lot of fun with The Boogans. I'm going to read you a little bit of the plot synopsis. So, in a small town near Denver, two young men begin to explore a long abandoned old mine, recently reopened by a group of miners. When one of the men is discovered missing, his friends begin a search that leads them into horrifying consequences. They're all unaware of the evil that's been unleashed, and soon, one by one, a monster that no one has seen snatches up the townspeople. Suddenly, the grisly truth is revealed, and a young couple is forced to confront the unknown in order to save their lives and the entire town. This is directed by James L. Conway, who did Hangar 18. I would have to agree with Stephen King that this is a wildly energetic monster movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I like my fair share of monster movies. And you know, the monsters don't all have to come from space. In this case, it comes from a mine. And I think it works. You know, it's probably not again, not the top of the line, most well made movie, but it is a fun movie. Um, so I would recommend it. It came out in 1981, so it's definitely an early 80s film. And guess what? It was produced by Charles Selye Jr., who directed what? Silent Night, Deadly Night. So you've got that as well. I was trying to see how long specifically this was. It is 96 minutes, so it's a little bit longer than some of these we've been talking about tonight. But again, it's rated R, so you're going to have some gory bits in it, obviously. A fun little monster movie. The only special features it has is an audio commentary, but you get it with the director, James L. Conway, the screenwriter David O'Malley, and star Rebecca Balding. So that is the Boogans. The next one I'm probably not going to talk too long about because it's another movie that I feel like I've talked about quite recently, and it's another Frank Henenlotter movie, and that's Brain Damage, the one about the parasite named Elmer, who ends up attaching himself to the base of a drug addict's brain, and basically manipulating him into getting victims for Elmer to feed on. And when Elmer feels good, he shoots these hallucinogenic endorphins into the guy's brain, basically. And another interesting thing about Elmer is John Zachary does the voice of Elmer in this. The late TV horror host. So, and again, like I said, it's directed by Frank Henenlotter, who I love most of Frank Henenlotter's films. Yes, exactly, TJ, starring Zachary. So I said I wasn't going to go really deep into this, but this is a gory, raucous, off the wall movie, as most of Frank Henenlotter movies are. So this is a limited edition. Again, it's an Arrow release, limited edition Blu-ray. So you get a DVD as well. You get brand new audio commentary by writer and director Frank Henenlotter. Listen to the Light, The Making of Brain Damage, a brand new documentary featuring interviews with actor Rick Herbst, producer Edgar Levins, editor James Quay, first assistant director Gregory Lamberson, visual effects supervisor Al Magliochetti, and makeup effects artist Dan Fry. The effects of Brain Damage, FX artist and creator of Elmer, Gabe Bartalos, looks back at his iconic effects work on the film, animating Elmer, featurette looking at the contributions of visual effects supervisor Al Magliochetti. Karen Ogle, look back, stills photographer, script supervisor, and assistant editor Karen Ogle recalls her fond memories of working on Brain Damage. Elmer's Turf, the New York City location, is a Brain Damage featurette revisiting the film's original shooting locations. Tasty memories of Brain Damage's session. An interview with superfan Adam Skinner. Excuse me. I've been doing this for 2 days straight, sneezing like this. Brain Damage Q&A with Frank Henenlotter. Recorded at the 2016 Off-Screen Film Festival, Image Gallery's original theatrical trailer, Bygone Behemoth animated short by Harry Chaskin, featuring a brief appearance by John Zachary in his final on-screen credit. Reversible Sleep, featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Sarah Deck. Limited edition O card with exclusive artwork. Collector's booklet with new writing on the film by Michael Gingold. Illustrated with original archive stills and posters. So I can show you. Actually, this is some other artwork here that actually has Elmer on there. And there's even more artwork there as well. And it also says it's the headache from hell. I would love to have like a Elmer puppet or something like that, actually. So that's brain damage. We're getting down to the last few, guys. Thank you guys for, we got 3 people in here now. I guess I chased everybody else away. But we're almost done. The next one is a David Cronenberg film, The Brood. And this is another a wildly wacky, entertaining film that has its share of creepy moments. And as with most David Cronenberg films, deals with a lot of body horror topics. So, give you a little bit of plot synopsis. A disturbed woman is receiving a radical form of psychotherapy at a remote, mysterious institute. Meanwhile, her 5-year-old daughter, under the care of her estranged husband, is being terrorized by a group of demonic beings. How these two storylines connect is a shocking and grotesque secret of this bloody tale, Monstrous Parenthood, from David Cronenberg, starring Oliver Reed and Samantha Eggar. With its combination of psychological and body horror, The Brood laid the groundwork for many of the director's films to come, but it stands on its own as a personal, singularly scary vision. And I think the scariest part of this is the little creatures that are being spawned and are coming after the little girl. And then the second scary thing is the reason why these things came into being in the first place. And how the mother, played by Samantha Eggar, actually reacts to what's going on. I'll just say it's not normal. So, I love The Brood. It's not my favorite David Cronenberg movie, but it is a really good movie. I think I have yet to find a David Cronenberg movie that I don't like. So, this, of course, is a Criterion release, director approved Blu-ray special edition with special features. So you get new restored 2K digital transfer, supervised by director David Cronenberg. New documentary about the making of the film and Cronenberg's early work, featuring actor Samantha Eggar, executive producer Perry David, cinematographer Mark Irwin, assistant director John Board, and special makeup effects artist Rick Baker and Joe Blasco. Joe Blasco did Shivers and Rabid. Rick Baker also did Videodrome. Newly restored 4K digital transfer of Cronenberg's 1970 feature Crimes of the Future, supervised by the director, plus a 2011 interview with Cronenberg about his early career. Interview from 2013 with actors Art Hindle and Cindy Hines. Interview or appearance by actor Oliver Reed on the Merv Griffin Show from 1980. A radio spot plus an essay by critic Carrie Rickey. So you get, there's a poster here. I'm not going to unfold it just to save time. Okay, so that's The Brood. Now, here's one that I don't believe I've talked about on any streams. I guess I just haven't had the opportunity to talk about it. And that's Bubba Hotep, a film by Don Coscarelli and starring Bruce Campbell and Ossie Davis. I don't know what a lot of people think about Bubba Hotep, but I haven't watched it in a really long time. Sorry, old curly jaws. This is a Screen Factory release. But I really, I enjoyed this movie. It is based on a story by Joe R. Lansdale, who writes some good stories, but they're odd. Um, so Bruce Campbell, of course, from Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead 1 and 2, gives its greatest and most entertaining performance to date as an aging and cantankerous Elvis in this zinger-filled crowd pleaser. From writer-director Don Coscarelli, Phantasm, John Dies at the End. When mysterious deaths plague a Texas retirement home, it's up to its most sequined senior citizen to take on a 3,000-year-old Egyptian mummy with a penchant for cowboy boots, bathroom graffiti, and sucking the souls from the barely living. So, not only does Bruce Campbell play a very elderly Elvis, he also has cancer on his penis. We see very up close doctoring of his penis. Probably, I would imagine, not really Bruce Campbell's penis, but it's supposed to be. We also have Ossie Davis playing, who we're supposed to believe is JFK. And it's kind of, people kind of say things like, boy, he's black. How can he be JFK? But he believes that he is JFK, just the same way that Bruce Campbell's character believes he is Elvis, and actually explains that it was the Elvis impersonator that he got tired, that the real Elvis got tired of the hustle and bustle of the famous life. And an Elvis impersonator took over for him, and he went into hiding, and it was the Elvis impersonator who died the tragic death. So you've got this story between Bruce Campbell and Ossie Davis in this nursing home, and then you've got this Egyptian mummy that's literally is sucking the souls out of these old people at the nursing home. So I just think it's a really fun movie. Um, I even, it's been a long time ago, but I even took some of the like little kung fu things that Bruce Campbell does in this, and put it to the song Kung Fu Fighting and made a little video out of it. I think Bubba Hotep stuff wasn't the only thing I had in there. There was probably some other stuff too, but I do remember that I put some scenes from Bubba Hotep in it. Andrew, you said Bubba Hotep is a stone cold classic. Lansdale is a great writer. I think so too. I need to read more of his stuff, actually, Andrew. TJ, you say, I like it. I think, though, that Campbell makes a great older Elvis. I don't think he'd have been a great young Elvis when he was younger, if that makes sense. Oh, yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, that completely makes sense to me. It really does. Um, so I actually need, like I said, I have not seen this in a while, and I'd like to, get this back out and watch it. I don't think I've watched it since I bought this new. I watched it when I bought it new, and then I haven't watched it since then. So it's been a little while. But this does have some good special features. It's got new audio commentary with author Joe R. Lansdale, new interviews with director Don Coscarelli, Bruce Campbell, and special makeup effects supervisor Robert Kurtzman. Audio commentary by director Don Coscarelli and Bruce Campbell. Audio commentary by The King, which is interesting. Deleted scenes with optional commentary by Don Coscarelli and Bruce Campbell. The Making of Bubba Hotep featurette. To Make a Mummy makeup effects featurette. Fit for a King Elvis costuming featurette. Rock Like an Egyptian featurette about the music of Bubba Hotep. Joe R. Lansdale reads from Bubba Hotep. Music video, photo gallery, original theatrical trailer, and a TV spot. And that is Bubba Hotep. I recommend it. Highly recommend it. Okay. Guys, we are down to the final two movies. So the next to last one is Bug. And this is the old movie Bug. Um, this one was from 1975, just a year before I was born. So I really like this movie. I don't think this, again, is a movie that Steve much cares for. But I think it's an interesting take on like the killer bug, killer critter subgenre of movies. So, legendary horror writer, producer, director William Castle, The Tingler, Straitjacket, Rosemary's Baby, presents a creeping, crawling film nightmare that will have you screaming and squirming with fright. A massive earth tremor opens a crevice in the California desert, releasing a plague of bizarre, fiery, foot-long cockroaches, with their numbers multiplying and the death toll mounting. Obsessive entomologist James Parmenter, Bradford Dillman from Piranha and the Swarm, desperately seeks a way to eliminate the seemingly indestructible critters before they spread clear across the country and beyond. Joanna Miles, The Dark Secret of Harvest Home, and Patty McCormick, The Bad Seed, are among the terrorized cast in a suspenseful scream fest directed by Janot Swark, Jaws 2. Okay, and I probably just massacred that guy's name. But as far as killer bug, killer insect, killer critter movies go, I think this one is a unique one because they're not just attacking you by eating you or something. These things like shoot out fire from them and catch people on fire. So I think in and of itself that is an interesting take on the whole killer bug or killer insect subgenre. So it's been a while since I've seen this one too. Um, I need to rewatch it because I remember really enjoying it. And when I bought it, I had never seen this movie. I had heard of it briefly, but never seen it. And it was another one that Steve said, "Why in the world are you buying that movie?" So being as William Castle had something to do with putting this movie out originally, you've got this little disclaimer: the picture you see with your eyes closed. Checklist after viewing Bug: check your car, check your neck, check your hair, check your bed. Okay. And I'm sure, knowing William Castle, he probably had some kind of gimmick tied to this movie when it was shown in theaters. So, the special features on this, you get new audio commentary with film historian Troy Howarth, and there's a theatrical trailer, and that's about it. But I highly recommend this movie, especially if you've never seen it. Again, try to find a for free version before you plunk down any money for it. TJ, you say Bug, the old USA Network used to show it all the time. Wigs and fire don't mix. Exactly, TJ. Andrew, you say never watch Bug. Their incendiary nature sounds cool. A lot of insect horror films just don't work. Notable exceptions for me are Kingdom of the Spiders and Arachnophobia. I do love Kingdom of the Spiders. I like Arachnophobia as well, even though I can't stand to be around spiders. But I like those movies. So the final one of the night, and guys, I know, thank you so much for you guys that have stuck it out with me tonight. This was super long. Because I started at 8 o'clock and now it's after 11. So the last one I want to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about it long, it's The Burning. Because I've talked about this movie several times. But if you have never seen The Burning, I highly, highly recommend it. I'm going to give you a little bit of a plot synopsis in case there are any of you that have not heard of The Burning. A group of summer camp pranksters get the scare of their lives when they target the camp's creepy caretaker, and he takes bloody revenge. After a cruel joke goes awry, severely burning him and subjecting him to 5 years of intensive, unsuccessful skin graft treatments, Cropsey, Lou David, is back at camp and ready to wreak havoc on those who scarred him. With his hedge clippers in hand, he terrorizes the camp and systematically mutilates each victim. Can a few courageous campers save themselves and destroy this demented madman before he kills them all? Starring Brian Matthews, Crime Stopper, Leah Ayres, Bloodsport, Brian Backer, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Larry Joshua, Dances with Wolves, and featuring early film appearances by Fisher Stevens, Short Circuit, Jason Alexander, Seinfeld, and Holly Hunter. Raising Arizona, The Burning is a grim and nasty movie that gets under your skin. And this, again, was another movie that I didn't watch until much later in life. When I started venturing out from my local video rental stores to more to places that were a little bit further away from my house. And so this was a movie that I still didn't watch for a long time because the cover did not catch my eye. It wasn't this flashy cover. Let me see. Yes. It was this cover on the VHS. So if you're looking at that on an already faded VHS, you might not see the figure of Cropsey behind the lovers in the lake with the shears. So I would glance at this several times when I would go to the video store and see what looked like a couple in the lake, but nothing else stood out for me about the movie. And then one day I was in the video rental store and I happened to really look at the cover of the VHS and notice the shadow of Cropsey with the shears. And I was like, oh, how did I miss that? So that got me to pick it up, flip it over, read the plot synopsis. I was like, well, this sounds really interesting. And so I took it home and I was like, wow, how in the world did I miss this gem? Okay. It also has special effects by Tom Savini. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one. Now I know CK and I have went back and forth about which movie is better, The Burning or Madman. And I always say The Burning. I like Madman, but for me, this is the better film. For CK, Madman is the better film. So special features on this: audio commentary by director Tony Milam and international journalist Alan Jones, Blood and Fire Memories, theatrical trailer, and more. I do agree with you, old Curly Jaws, on this. The Burning is a classic, underrated. TJ, you say Bug has a supernatural aspect too. Won't say how. Exactly. We'll just leave that to people to figure out, won't we, TJ? Yeah, Indrid, I have seen the Cropsey documentary. What are you doing in here, Sammy? Sammy, my other basset hound, is in here right now. What do you want, buddy? I hope he hasn't had an accident or something. But anyway, Indrid, yes, I have seen the Cropsey documentary, but it's been a while. I probably should go back and kind of refresh my memory on that. I'm glad you brought that up, though, because that's interesting. So, guys, I have officially reached the end of my B horror movies in my collection. So let me read these. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say Madman is in my top 5 worst films ever made. TJ, you say if you don't see the Cropsey silhouette, it looks like a love story called The Burning. LOL. See, I don't think I ever looked at the title either because my eyes would glance over the couple in the lake and I was like, what is this doing in the horror movies? It just didn't seem to fit. So, like I was saying, I have reached the end of my B horror movie collection. I am planning on tomorrow, barring anything going on health wise, Um, I'm planning on doing catching up with my Cheese Extreme Wednesday that I haven't done for a couple of weeks now, I think. Um, so you guys can look forward to that. And hopefully Thursday and Friday, I will be able to do um, some more of my horror movie ABCs. And then Saturday will, of course, be the Return of the Living Dead watch along. And the following Saturday, what did I say we were going to do? Oh, Lord. I forgot what I even said I was going to do. Oh, man. Guys, I'm losing it. Does anybody remember what I said I was going to do the week after Return of the Living Dead? Because I had something picked and now I can't. I totally cannot remember what I was going to do. Oh my God. This is getting really bad. So, if somebody remembers what I said I was going to do, I guess I'll eventually remember it. But it totally uh, slipped my mind. Um, but oh, I remember what it was now. Trick or Treat. The 1986 Trick or Treat. That's what I said I was going to do. Lord, I'm glad I remembered it. And I am planning on going to Scarefest on Saturday unless Michael Berryman cancels because I'm really wanting to meet Michael Berryman. And Steve said we could go. So, but I plan on, we're not going to be staying long at Scarefest. So I definitely should be back in time to do the trick or treat watch along. If there are any of you in the chat right now or that hear about this later, that want to be live on the watch along with me for either one of these or both of these films, please let me know and I will make sure to send you an invite. I know TJ's got something uh, going on this weekend. Um, and I believe it was John that has something going on. But he's got his, I'm guessing his wedding anniversary and then Scarefest, and I guess he's going to spend more time at Scarefest than I am. So he will miss out on both of those. Um, Wes, you say, Madman is great. Oh, Curly likes the goddamn Fog remake. His opinion doesn't hold much water to me. Oh, Curly Jaws says, laughing my fucking ass off. Oh, Curly Jaws, you said, the soundtrack to The Fog is pretty killer, though. Oh, I hope you mean the original Fog. Wes, you say King Frat commentary? Well, maybe sometime. Oh, Lord. Fog 2005 commentary? Oh, okay, TJ. Skipping out on one of my live streams, buddy. Come on. You're going to be at Howling Ends tomorrow night. Have a fun stream tomorrow. Thank you, TJ. I was just kidding. Um, I don't know if I want to plunk down any money for Halloween Ends. Maybe Steve can find another way for us to watch it because I guess I'll watch it, but I don't hold much hope out for that damn movie. But that probably won't keep me from watching it. So, with all of that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. I think I'll watch my Tom Savini Smoke and Mirrors documentary that I just got in today on Blu-ray from Wild Eye Releasing, and relax a little bit, and try to get ready for my day tomorrow. Okay, if it's on Peacock, then probably me and Steve will watch it that way. You're seeing it for free, LOL. Sorry. That's okay, TJ. No problem. But I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. And thank you guys once again for sticking with me for over 2 hours. Actually, over 3 hours. While I talked about this, 3 hours, 22 minutes, 41 seconds. So I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now.